Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. Now, this week, it's been a short week for me, really. Not much shop time, but I did get some pretty good footage, I think. I got some grinding footage for you. We're going to be touching up, or not touching up, we're going to totally resharpen the cutter that I had so much issue with last week on the horizontal mill. We're going to try it on the horizontal mill. I've got some viewer mail, some amazing viewer mail that I've been keeping up for a couple weeks. I've got a package that arrived of an item that I bought that I want to show to you. And of course I got some extra footage, so let's get started. Alright, so I'm finally getting to use my grinder again, and what I need to do is reduce the OD of this piece that I've got in my spin fixture here by 2/1000 of an inch. This is going to be an Arbor. It goes through the center of my 1.25 inch milling cutters for the horizontal mill and holds them while I sharpen them on this machine. So I need to reduce this by 2/1000. It is slightly, it's 1/1000th over 1.25 inches, and I need to be 1/1000th under. So we're going to dust this off, and really this is the only way to get this kind of stuff accurate. You could stick that in the lathe, but by the time you account for chuck run out and all that, and depth of cut, you're just not going to hit your numbers, not reliably anyway. So we're going to grind it. I've got my wheel dressed, and the whole head's tilted about a half thou the way I'm grinding on this far edge of the wheel. I'm just going to glue this up just so I know when I'm all the way around this part, or it's cleaning up all the way around. I'm going to come in and try to touch off lightly. I'm just going to take it real slow on this thing and dust it all the way around. Hopefully this thing cleans up. This is my final pass. It did not clean up completely, but I think it's going to be fine. Just a temporary part that I can use to sharpen my cutters. It has to be really close, but you know, this part is stationary when I'm sharpening, so as long as it holds true, it should be good. So we just got a little that didn't clean up, but like I said, it should be fine. Okay, so I'm just getting set up to touch up the cutter that gave me all the problems last week. It has some run out. The bore is not true with the outside of the cutting edges, so it, you know, cuts only on a couple teeth, and I want to try to fix that if I can. So what I'm doing is using this little universal tailstock is what it's called, I guess, for the KO Lee cutter grinder, and you can use it for a lot of things. You can use it as an extended tailstock. That's what this is right now, this shaft that's in there, but you can also use it to hold cutters. This is the piece that I ground just a minute ago, and then use a finger attachment off of it to index and sharpen the teeth. So I went to a cup wheel. Now what I'm doing is just dialing this fixture in. I didn't want to take this off. I spent 30 minutes, you know, getting it lined up, 15 anyway. So I'm just using my tenths indicator off the head of the machine, sweeping the very peak of the radius. Just move the table back and forth till I get a peak, and then stop, and then sweep. So now I'm confident that this fixture is adjusted properly in this axis. And now I need to check it in this. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. Just move my indicator to the side, lower my work head till I get that peak, or till I get the top of it anyway. Top of the radius of the shaft here. I think that's about it. Check it. 0 there. So I'm just raising and lowering the workhead. You can see that the indicator peaks at a point and then drops off, peaks and drops off. So wherever that highest reading is, that is the center of the shaft. And then I can just, let me move the camera back just a little. Then I can just traverse with my table, and I have no deflection in my indicator, so I know that I'm true this way. So my fixture's set up, relatively accurate now. Alright, so UPS just showed up, and it's always exciting. And the part that I ordered last week showed up. Let me show you what I got, and it's condition that I bought it in. Okay, now all I've done is cut open the box. I haven't really looked at it. Definitely haven't pulled it out of the box. So there it is. That is our, I guess, the intermediate Arbor support. Now, it's much smaller here and has much more clearance down at the bottom than the standard larger Arbor support that I have on the mill at the moment. So this will allow us to run either 2 Arbor supports, the big one that's on there now, and this one up close to the cutter, or you can run this one alone and get extra clearance. That's all it is, Arbor support, but look how crusty it is. It's in, pretty sorry shape. I haven't looked at it. Let's see if it's cracked or anything. I mean, it didn't say that, on the listing, but I'm sure they don't know anyway. They didn't even know what it was for. Alright, so anytime you buy something like this, especially used machine tools online, the listing said in good condition. My main concern, is it cracked? Is the running bushing? The important parts, are they all intact? Really, that's all I care. This thing, needs a good going over. But a lot of times you get stuff like this cheap. I'll tell you what I paid for this, and it was less than $100 shipped. And that's a pretty good deal, if you ask me, for a functioning Arbor support. Looked at the pictures. This was found, like I said last week, my buddy Jim Lichty is the one that spotted it. It was not listed under K&T. It was listed under Cincinnati ? So I'm just going to clean this guy up a little bit and get some of the grime off of it, and then we'll look at it, a lot closer. Okay, make sure this thing's not busted. Okay, cleaning up actually pretty good. Only been at this maybe 5 minutes. Looking like a different piece, and so far so good, to be honest. I think we got to this support before Bubba did, which is always good. I mean, I'm seeing no hammer marks, which is very surprising. Usually they get beat up, in this area here and around in here, just from people. People try to put them on and they're dirty or got big burrs and stuff on them, and they use the hammer. But hey, I guess you can't judge a book by its cover. I would have supposed this one was in extremely rough shape, and it kind of is. But for the price, I was expecting a lot worse. Bit of running bushing. You know, looks, I don't know if you can see that, you can't, the light's not great, but dirty, but looks really good. Looks pretty good, huh? Looks a lot better anyway. Just a little elbow grease, probably been at it for, you know, good 30 minutes. Just knocking off the burrs inside these bores. Not many, but a few. So pretty happy with the condition of this thing, really. You know, its paintwork could use touch up, but other than that, I think we got ourselves a good support. Less than an hour is what I've spent on it, really. And you know, I haven't done anything with the wick or anything in it, but I have the material, so we'll do that some other time, but you get the idea. It looks pretty good. Let's make sure that it fits. That would suck, wouldn't it? Alright, so let's try it. It's the same. I mean, I'm almost 100% for sure. But if it didn't fit, I'd be pretty upset. But, you know, this is the one that is made to take, it has 2 bolt holes here. Originally there's a support that comes off of the saddle, comes up and bolts to these 2 studs here. I don't have that, but that's the heavy duty. Look at that, and look how good that looks, just with some elbow grease. Wow. Look at that. She looks surprised. I'm not surprised. Fits. It's good. Awesome. This one takes a shorter bushing than this one. It's much wider. So this is what you would use on back in conjunction with that one. If you were taking, you know, really heavy cuts, you have that middle ways of the Arbor, and then this one up front. You can use them independently, but you can also use them together, stacked, to give you more support, which is awesome. So for my grinding, I'm going to be using a cup wheel, and I've got it heavily relieved in the center here, and you can see this darker ring. I haven't dressed this wheel yet, but that is the only place that my wheel is going to be doing any cutting. It just keeps it from chattering, and you'd be surprised how long a little edge like that lasts. All this information was given to me. You know, I'm not by any means the person who found that out. You know, I'm still learning all this stuff myself, and I am not an expert, so do your own research. But this is a height gauge, or a centering gauge. See, it has a V here, and then a pointer here. Both the center of this V and the end of that pointer are on the same plane, so I can just bring it over and center it on my shaft here. Then come over and get my wheel on center. Now this is not as critical where it is a cup wheel, because I'm grinding on a flat plane. But if it was a, you know, we were grinding on the circumference of a regular wheel, the height of the wheel really makes a difference in the angles that you grind on your cutter. And this cutter you probably can't tell, but was ground with a straight wheel because it has a small radius on the top. So we're just going to be touching it up a little different manner with a cup wheel. Right, so I'm just mapping this cutter out really good. I divert all the cutting edges on it, and I'm just trying to find my high and my low tooth. And I've already went around this thing, and I'll show you the indicator, but I get a variation of 10 thousandths between my high and my low. So whatever this person was thinking, you know, I don't know when they were sharpening this or how they even managed to get it off as bad as it is. So let's find the I'm just using a button bottom here, just kind of gliding over the teeth. Now this one is our highest tooth, so there's +5, and then our lowest, which is -5.5. So there's going to be a lot of grinding on this thing. My diamond in this universal vise. That way I can rotate it and angle it every other time I use it. Keeps the diamond sharp. And it has decided to become a beautiful day. It's in the 50s right now, which is excellent considering what we've had. And we don't get a lot of days like this in January. Usually it's cold or raining or snowing, but let's go see if we can find something pretty to look at. Let's go for a walk. And it is a beautiful day. Come on, Chloe. Come on. On December 30th, 2017, all you guys who've been with me for quite some time will remember that I buried one of my best friends, Jibs, a little Chihuahua. It's almost been a year ago today, right under this pile of rocks. So you sure do miss them when they're gone. Okay, so around me, there's not a lot of huge trees, a lot of old growth stuff. The majority of trees, big trees, have been logged out. But this one here is one that's made it. And it is a extremely large tree for the area. I'm not exactly sure what kind of tree it is, but it's a big one. I call it the bee tree, because for the last 10 years, or at least ever since I've been here, it has had some honeybees in it. They come in and out of a hole right there every year. You walk up here and they're flying in and out, so it's pretty neat. It's a big one. Okay, so I think I've got everything set up. I have everything, or had everything on center of rotation of my cutter, my finger height. This is the finger that actually, here is a extra one. Well, not extra, but you're always changing them out. And all it does is rest on the tooth and hold it in a position. So I put a longer one on because I needed clearance. It's always some clearance issue when you're cutter grinding. And we're grinding a straight-toothed cutter, similar to a saw, which is the easiest, in my opinion, cutters to grind. You know, like this one here has a helical cutting edge. You can see that cutting lip is not parallel with the bore, so you have to use a certain setup in order to get those teeth sharpened properly. So many ways to get things wrong, and so few ways to get things right. That's my motto as far as cutter grinding. It's tough, but nothing that you know, anybody couldn't do. So I calculated my offset, which is pretty simple. You take the relief angle that you want to grind in the tooth, you multiply that by the diameter of the cutter. This cutter is 5.163 inches. And then you multiply that by a constant, which is 0.0087, and that gives you the offset that you have to adjust this finger to change the angle. Either depending on, you either raise it or lower the finger depending on the orientation of your cutter. And in this case, where my tooth is pointed up, I raised it. So that's it. I know I could talk forever about this setup, but let's blue these up and grind them. Dude, this thing all messed up. Still not touching on the lowest tooth. Alright, so a new setup. I've done all my primaries, but where the grinds were pretty ugly, it made my primaries look all crazy. So I'm going to be working on the secondaries, and I want to shorten my primary cutting edge, what I just produced. Shorten that up to about a 1/16 of an inch, and you know, make them look good. I'm afraid that this would rub the way that it is, simply because I haven't ground the whole thing, so I don't know. So I've got to work those up. And I'm using a straight wheel for this, so everything is basically the same finger height is on center. The wheel was brought to center. The center of the wheel was brought to the center of the work, and then adjusted for the clearance angle that I want. Same formula, except for instead of taking into account the diameter of the cutter, you take into account the diameter of the wheel, and you leave the finger on center. It's really mind-numbing, I know, if you don't deal with cutter grinding, but it's not all that complicated. Just seems that way. So I'm going to touch this up. It's going to look the exact same, and then I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, before I finish this, I want to show you what I had. And let's see that glare out of there. Now you can see those primaries. See how they're all funny shaped? They're not just good and straight across. And all I'm working is the heel behind the cutting edge. This is one that I've done. You can see both these have spots. I'm just trying to clean them up good. And I'm trying to narrow this cutting land here, the main primary cutting edge. So I'm going to have to go over this a couple times, but I'm getting, it's looking a lot better. Let's just say that. It was pretty funky. You see there's a good example, just uneven and nasty looking. So I can't have that, and I wasn't for sure that I wouldn't get rubbing, so we're doing it all. I think that's it. It's pretty good. It's a lot of work. You would never believe how long it really takes to get everything lined up just to grind a cutter. There we go. Okay, I think that turned out pretty good. You know, not perfect, but plenty good enough. And to check and make sure that I have good clearance, I just take a piece of shim stock and wrap around it. And I hope that you can see we have plenty of room between the cutting edge and the heel, or the back of the cutting edge. We did 10 degrees on the secondary, and which is this back here, and then we got 5 degrees relief on our primary. Now, you know, those are just pick numbers that I picked. I think 3 to 5 degrees for steel on your primaries is fine, and on the secondary, you know, you just need clearance. So, no expert, but I think this will work just fine. And in fact, you know, let's try it. We seen what it did last week. It's got one cutter doing a lot of work there. So let's go stick it on the mill and make the same cut that we made last week and see how it performs. I also sharpened this one while I was at it. Primaries and secondaries. And it is turning into a beautiful day outside. Still cold. It's in the 30s right now. But it's warming up. I think it's supposed to be in the 50s today, which is really nice. Now, I definitely plan on putting a DRO on this machine. And I'd like to get everybody's opinion. You know, if you've used some of the cheaper DROs, I'm not going to be able to get an Accurite or something like that. But maybe a Newall, you know, even possibly one of the cheaper ones, if, you know, they're acceptable in quality. I haven't dealt with them, so maybe some of you guys can, you know, add to the discussion on that. It would be much appreciated. I think this machine would definitely benefit from having one. So I went through this Arbor. This is the Arbor that I used last time. It's got the same cutter on it. I haven't changed it or anything. I stoned all the bushings. It's very critical that your bushings or spacers be parallel and clean, because if they've got a piece of dirt or something, when you tighten the nut down, it will torque the Arbor. I've just been reading up on it. That's not from personal experience, but it makes perfect sense. And your keyway's got to be good and clean, or else you fight those. So there's a lot to it, to be honest. So it kind of feels like deja vu here, but hopefully this performs better this time. So I'm going to come up and touch off. Now when I get into the cut more, I'm going to have to come in and remove this one clamp. And touch off will take 250 thousandths depth of cut. We're going to be feeding 2 inches a minute, just like last time. Alright, so now 250 on our depth of cut. I think that's it. Let it feed up. Better. Still got a little bit of run out somewhere. Definitely sounds better. I like this. The staggered tooth cutter's better. That's too bad for like the, 5th cutter I've probably ever ground, as far as large cutter like this. This plate really needs clamped a little better than what it is, and it wouldn't be harmonic like that. So just for fun, I want to try this cutter here. Now this is a big staggered tooth cutter, so you get, offset engagement. I guess it would probably create a lot less, you know, harmonics. Just guessing, but you know, that's probably the case. I want to try it just for fun. Now this cutter is freshly sharpened, was had the peel coat on it. I just pulled it off. It is a Niagra Cutter, so really nice brand. It's a 6-inch cutter, and it was given to me along with these other 3 cutters here, all Niagra cutters. These need sharpened, but these are great cutters. You know, I can't wait to sharpen them up and use them. They were given me by Dawn, no last name here, from Beaverton, Oregon. So thank you very much. It says, Steve, I hope that these wheel cutters will be useful to you. I suspect that they could use sharpening, and a few of them do, so no big deal. I appreciate it. I'm going to put this on this Arbor and just for fun and see how it does. Alright guys, I got some really nice stuff here, and I just want to say a big thank you up front to, you know, everybody who sent something in. You know, I really couldn't imagine, you know, trying to move forward without the help of the viewers, so I just want to say thanks. Now, some of this stuff really, you know, made me smile when I opened up the box. A couple of those items are this large face mill that was sent to me by Eric Green. He sent me this face mill. He sent me a stack of horizontal milling cutters. He sent me a 50 taper tool holder, and you know, I really appreciate it. That is a Seco 8-inch face mill. That is a huge face mill. I have to get some inserts for it, and if I'm not mistaken, Seco means I cut in Latin. So, yeah, pretty smart, huh? I just looked it up, but that's pretty neat. I looked it up to see what you know, inserts and stuff that it takes, but I can't wait to use that thing. That'd be super nice if you were doing like a cylinder head, or you know, a block, or you know, anything that you didn't want a big step over line on. You know, you just do it in one pass. So, thank you, Eric. I really appreciate that, and definitely can't wait to use it. Now, Eugene Kerr sent me a bunch of lathe dogs. He sent me a box of stuff. He sent me lathe dogs. He sent me some large end mills. He sent me a few Arbor spacers, which is really nice because, you know, I didn't have any for my 1.5-inch Arbor. So I really appreciate that. And I didn't even have many lathe dogs. I always made them up for the job. But sent me from little bitty to, you know, a monster. This happens to be an adjustable clamp style, which I have made a few of these in the past. So look at that thing. That is a 5-inch lathe dog, capable of holding, you know, a 5-inch shaft, and I can see where that would be handy. Definitely. A large shaft with centers. You know, you have a hard time coming up with a way to run it, but that is a monster lathe dog. So thank you. He also sent me some grinding wheels, a bunch of nice ones. These, you know, these are 4 of the same kind of wheel. These are 60Ks. I mean, it's a variety of wheels you see, and I really appreciate it. Bob from Grants Pass, Oregon, sent me a 3/4 50 taper tool holder, which is definitely appreciated. I still don't have a whole lot of tool holders for that mill. Jim Ham, you know, I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I did not have a crack check kit for cast iron and stuff, and he said, "Man, I got one. I'll send you. It's just sitting in my shop. I haven't used it, and probably won't. So he sent it my way. It is a full set. So that was really nice of you. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I can demonstrate using it on someone else's broken stuff and not my own. My buddy Jim Lichty, who's always helping me out, I mean, it's something every other day, really. Did some searching on, auction site and found this sign. It's a Kearney and Trecker original sign. It's not a remake. It's about 1/8 inch thick aluminum, so that is super nice. Thank you, Jim. I really appreciate it. I will hang this up on the wall behind the mill when I get it in position. Check that out. That's super nice. And then, an item that I bought, which is a small boring head to use in the mill. Now this is an aftermarket head, or a remake or a knockoff of a brand, but it was cheap, man. These things go for less than 20 bucks used. So I picked it up and figure it's a usable size. So some great viewer mail. I really appreciate it. I don't know what to say other than thanks. It's some amazing stuff. I got some more stuff too that I'll share with you later, but I think that's enough for now. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Well, here is the cutter that I sharpened and we used, and it actually held up really well. I'm surprised that it done as well as it did. I'm no expert on grinding cutters, and I don't claim to be, but I'm getting the hang of it. There is a lot to the setups and stuff. It just takes a long time, and is confusing, really, especially if you're just getting into it. But I think anybody could do it if they, spent some time trying to learn their machines. One of the main things that helped me out the most in cutter grinding is just getting some good literature to read on it. And a lot of times that literature that you read may not make sense the first time you read it. At least this is my experience. But after you get to using the machine a little bit, that stuff starts to all make sense. And I'm starting to get the hang of it, I feel. And I'm happy with the outcome. This is a simple cutter to sharpen. For those who really grind cutters and are good at it, it's not a real complicated task to sharpen a straight tooth cutter like that. But I'm starting to get the hang of it, at least mentally. Doing the ends of end mills, that's pretty tough. Gashing and getting them, you got to get them all on the same level. You got to get them cut to the proper angle. You got to get the proper setup in order to get that in. I mean, there's a lot to it. I think that's why a lot of people steer away from a cutter grinder. They buy one and it sits in the corner. But anyway, let me show you the cuts, or the cuts that we made with this cutter. The first one, the one that when it was running out, and then the one that we just done. Alright, so here is the first slot that I cut, and you can see all the chatter marks in there. None of these look really good. These are staggered tooth cutters here, and this was the second one that we done with the cutter that we sharpened. Now it still has some chatter here where I stopped, repositioned, moved clamps and stuff. I'm still grasping for straws at clamping clamps to hold on to that table. I don't have a really good clamp set for that mill yet. But it looks a lot better, especially up here, the first 3/4 of the cut. I had to stop, I changed camera angle, moved a clamp, all that stuff. So I had to mess with it, and we got a little chatter in here. But definitely looks a lot better all up in here. This one is pretty rough all the way across. So I'm pretty happy with it. I don't expect any of these to look great. I mean, that's not... we were full depth, 250 thousandths of a cut, and then the way that I was clamping this thing. So, but definitely an improvement between the first cut and then the second one. Hopefully you can see. Well, guys, that is it. I am same as I was last week, pushing it to the wire, and when I filmed a lot of this footage earlier in the week, I've just had sporadic moments to be able to film this week. It was like 60 something degrees. You know, that was so nice. In the low 60s Fahrenheit. And right now it's in the 20s, the low 20s. So they say if you don't like the weather in Kentucky at the moment, wait 15 minutes and it's liable to change to something you may like. And that holds true, because man, we can get a 40-degree temperature swing in just a day's time. It's crazy the way the weather is around here. I'm ready for spring and some outside events, that's for sure. I'd like to say a big thanks to all the guys who sent stuff into the channel. You know, I definitely wouldn't be near as far along as I am without your support, and I really appreciate it. I got some other stuff that I need to share too, and you know, some really nice stuff, and I appreciate it. So thank you guys. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are awesome for sticking with me. Big thanks to all my subscribers, my viewers, you know, the guys who donated on my PayPal button on my homepage. I really appreciate it, and the family appreciates it. So that's it. Hopefully next week we'll make some forward movement. I want to get that big meal out of the middle of the floor. I'm getting tired of walking around it. Get it in its final position. Still want to paint it. Got to pull the table off of it. I need to. I'm getting some rusty colored oil and stuff coming out from between the tableways and stuff. It's where it's set for so long, and I'm sure it needs a cleaning, so I'll probably be doing that. You know, a million things. I need to get the starter worked out on it. Want to get a DRO on it. You know, want. So, you know, we'll see. You know, we'll just do the best we can. So, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you need anything, you know, contact me through my email. Click on my little guy to subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell for notifications. And as always, I'll see you next time.